of everything.
Thank you. So one of my concerns with this whole conversation is the shadowy they. We keep on talking about they, big business and various other things. And as I showed you, Piers, not so long ago, like literally 5 minutes ago, I've got a tweet here that Piers retweeted. It was originally... okay. Okay.
It's a fake. Right, it's a fake. Let him make his point.
Okay, so what? So Piers is denying it. The internet says otherwise, and we'll then go on to Mark Windows, who you are an associate of, and it all goes back to the they. So here he's retweeting something which says it was by someone called White Knight, I assume a white supremacist. They will force Trump into war. What do you think happened to Hitler, Bilderberg, CIA, IMF, banker gangsters? They are the problem. There's a picture of Lord Jacob Rothschild, a famous Jew, imposed over a Nazi flag, talking about the Bilderberg group. There's another which you touched on Israel-Palestine, of Netanyahu controlling ISIS with one hand and using ISIS to attack the West. And so when you talk about they and the oligarchs and who are you referring to?
Well, I have been very specific. A former chief executive of ExxonMobil is on the committee, the management board of Citizens Online. The chief of 5G oligarchs, one of the companies, the name I can't remember, but it's listed on that piece of paper I gave out, or online, is on the board of Citizens Online. Very specifically, George Soros and Bill Gates fund, which is their charity front organisation, which pays for the management of Greta Thunberg.
So is it Soros and the likes who are controlling the governments that are acting to advance this climate change narrative?
Well, Soros, look, we've done a lot of that. Soros has a very big influence. The handouts to scientists to do the bidding of these people is very clear.
But hang on, Rothschild is also there's a lot of information about these things. If we go in like Rothschild, there are Rothschilds directly financing some of these campaigns. Yes, there's a lot of evidence for that. I'll present it on the online YouTube stuff, so you can question it on that. I'll present it on there, right? However, you are right to question about they in general, but going on about this particular tweet, which has got nothing to do with the debate we're talking about, I think is meandering off into the unknown.
They've got no answers. Those people, the people that put out that tweet, well, I don't know who put out that tweet, but they cannot answer the science that we put forward. That's why they have a smear campaign.
I mean, regardless of what Piers says or doesn't say, if he's talking about one issue here, which is climate change, if we wander onto every single view, I mean, I've known Piers since 1998, and I've not.
That's why you're protecting him.
What do you want about protecting him?
Because you know what the accusation is. The accusation is anti-Semitism, and you're saying we're talking about.
Anti-Semitism allegations have been made.
I'm a close friend. I mean, I've worked with Richard Lindzen. Look. The whole discussion about anti-Semitism,
regardless of what you're saying about Piers, it's been thrown into the air thousands of times in the last 2 years about Jeremy Corbyn, right? Now, it's not kind of relevant because we're talking about climate change. We're not talking about anti-Semitism.
You're smearing because you're
talking anything to do with that.
I've told you who I'm talking about. Were you listening? Were you listening? Were you listening? No, I haven't retweeted no white supremacist anything ever. Mark Windows does many things and he can answer for himself.
Okay, guys, let's focus on the scientific point of view. Whether somebody is or not an anti-Semite does not negate what he's talking about scientifically. Sorry? It doesn't matter. We're not talking about anti-Semitism now. I'd like to ask a question about this, about global warming and about all this stuff. Sorry. Do you think that
It's not your debate. It's not your debate, Heiko. It's not your camera. Not your camera. Not your stool. Not your tarmac.
Let's be quite clear about this. This is my debate.
What are you talking about? Who the
One,
hell are you?
I'm answering you. I'm a speaker who's been speaking at Speaker's Corner. I'm a speaker who's been speaking at... You made a statement to me. I'm answering it. Yes, it's my debate. Why is it my debate? Because I organised one for... 1 minute. The gentleman here is saying, is it my debate? Yes. Why is it my debate? 1, I organised for Piers to come down here. 2, I discussed with the gentleman here about laying out the chairs and how we'd organise the debate. 3, I discussed with Leon about arranging this a day ago. So this is an organised debate which I organised. I normally speak at Speaker's Corner myself. I have come down here specifically to organise this debate because it's been discussed over the last 2 weeks about Extinction Rebellion. That's the subject of this meeting. Exactly. If you want to have a subject meeting about anti-Semitism, fair enough, but we're not having it here now. We're not having it here now. We are not having it here now. Sorry.
Thank you. All right, I'd like to ask you just one. Sorry, just ignore. I'd like to just ask you one question. Do you think that human development? Do you think that human? Sorry, guys, your questions will come a bit later. Let me just ask something. Do you think mankind has any ability, just in their industrialization, let's ignore warfare, any ability to influence the climate unwillingly? For example, with their development, they will ruin the climate. For example, in terms of warming or cooling or stuff like that. Not in terms of the basic pollution of the oceans. In those terms, obviously, they can influence it. But in terms of like climate. Do they have any ability of doing so, or no ability, zero?
Well, they have a small ability. The destruction of forests does change local circulation, and that is an effect on climate. Carbon dioxide produced by man has no effect on climate whatsoever. The so-called physics of back radiation denies the first and second laws of thermodynamics. And if you go onto our website, you can read about it there. And there's no scientific paper in existence which produces evidence that carbon dioxide levels change climate. The fact is the other way round.
I see. Thank you.
I was trying to help you get.
Right. I think. Is there anything more you want to say?
I would. Do you want me to sum up?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so, because I was meant to be somewhere else. Okay, well, I would say, look, thank everybody for coming. I think it's been very helpful. The other things I've been accused of are irrelevant to this debate, but I'll be happy to answer them elsewhere. I will summarise. Man-made climate change does not exist. We repeat our challenge. Do you mind me quiet? We repeat our challenge that scientists or the BBC or anybody must produce evidence of man-made climate change, and I urge you to set up groups of to set up groups of of Action for Life to oppose the Extinction Rebellion view of, in fact, acting on behalf of big global corporations. But there is a wing within the Extinction Rebellion movement, if you like, which does believe in true green policies, and our gentleman here is one of them. And I support that sort of stuff, and I think we have to demand democracy in any type of these movements. And his point about mass meetings or to decide what to do when you've got a big protest is correct. So I say support true green, oppose fake green, demand accountability against diktat from on high. Thank you.
So that debate's finished. Now will you stick for 5 minutes to talk about what we'd like to talk about?
Well, I'll talk about what people want to talk about, which I suspect is more of this.
Many of us would like to talk about the anti-Semitism crisis. You're not talking about that. There we go. There he was. And this is what happened. This is what happens. This is what happens. Why? You talk about Rothschilds. You talk about Soros.
Let them speak.
You stick to the subject. You don't like
And that's the subject's finished. The subject
You don't like
finished.
the subject,
The subject
go.
finished. The subject finished. Piers.
Meeting is
Piers.
over. Meeting
Piers.
is over.
Piers. 5 minutes. As an Orthodox Jew, it would be good to talk to you. As an Orthodox Jew, it would be nice to talk to you. The Jewish community, the Jewish community is very afraid of your brother. The Jewish community is afraid of people like you. Will you sit and talk for 5 minutes?
The guys in Stamford Hill.
They're afraid. So well, let's sit and talk about it. Let's talk about it.
If you want to have a discussion about anti-Semitism, I would like to have it in presence of Richard Lindzen, a top, he's Jewish, Zion, very, very Jewish, I would say, who's a top meteorologist that agrees with my general view. And I'm not going to have a discussion here because I think it will be misused.
So you'll talk about climate change for 2 hours, and the minute you're asked a difficult question, and the minute you're asked the discussion, we've got Piers Corbyn here. I'm asking him a question. You invited him. I'm
answered.
Nothing to do with the subject.
He's running away.
About climate.
You're talking about climate. I'm talking about my people who are afraid of him and his brother.
I'm not afraid of him. What are you talking about? What are you afraid of?
We're afraid of your kind as well.
Oh, grow up.
Far left radicals who've done martyrdom. Far left
There's plenty
radicals.
of far left radicals who are Jewish, my friend.
Yes, and many who've been persecuted. The gulags. The gulags.
What are you talking
I'm a pro-Semite.
You're a pro-Semite. Perfect, perfect. So why are you tweeting things about the Rothschilds?
I'm not tweeting things about the Rothschild. Those are fake tweets.
Why are you associating with Mark Windows? Why are you associating with Mark Windows?
Next time you get on a bus, I'm saying next time you get on a bus, be very careful. There might be an anti-Semite there too.
So that's very clever. Mark Windows is a notorious anti-Semite who he shares a platform with, has no issue sharing a platform with, continues to share a platform with, who is a known white supremacist.
Don't bring emotionality in a clever
That's
meeting
rich coming from you.
Yeah, look who's talking.
That's rich coming from you.
Because you were disrupting the meeting. It's my personal duty to have a decent,
Very nice.
civilized meeting.
I have it.
It's personal duty of each one of us.
That's fine.
You bring emotion.
I'll take money.
You bring
What, £5 a
emotion.
litre?
You downgrade the meeting.
Piers,
Our personal duty.
Piers, as a Jewish person, I am genuinely concerned about you and your brother. And can you tell me why I shouldn't be? When you're known to associate with anti-Semites, you post that. Mark Windows. Can I show you tweets from Mark Windows? Is he associate of yours or not?
Wait, does that influence what he said about the environment?
Not at all. It's a separate debate. Not at all. The only connection is he's talking about they and the shadowy hand.
Careful when you go on a bus.
Like, subscribe, content over everything. And don't be an anti-Semite.
Haiku, take over the mic, fam.
Well, I mean, there are some people who want to turn every discussion about everything into anti-Semitism, and I'm sorry, but it's perfect. I think it's perfectly legitimate for me to try and push that is not discussed here, because that's got nothing to do with the debate that we're having, which is about climate change and discussion about climate change. Anyone can get historical and accuse someone of anti-Semitism, and which is what the gentleman over here has done, which has got nothing to do with the discussion we're discussing. I've discussed hundreds of times, I've discussed at Speaker's Corner on my own platform about Jeremy Corbyn, the Labour Party and anti-Semitism. I don't see why this is a discussion now. You know, that's basically what it is. And I think we've had a good discussion about the arguments that Piers puts forward, and people can make up their minds and post their articles, post their ideas, post their views, and post academic papers that discuss the question, and we can try and promote the debate around the fundamental issues that are being discussed worldwide around these issues. And that I think has been a contribution to that. Thanks.
Are you going to do a talk now? Are you going to do a talk on the ladder now? Are you off? Maybe. Hey Steve, any closing statements? No closing statements. You had a lot to say a while ago. Now you ain't got nothing to say.
Yeah, bring Tommy Boy.
Control the mic.
Yo, guys, anti-Semitism. Get this on camera. Come on, guys. Yeah, okay.
Joe's
The guy in the black hat.
talking anti-Semitism.
China all of a sudden.
I mean, talking about anti-Semitism, it's fine, but I think we're talking about the environment, and I think we should stick to environment for now. We should just change subjects completely. Kind of sounds like I mean, they want to ignore the environment though. It's important to talk about, you know, anti-Semitism and that stuff, but I don't know, maybe...
You've got the camera. What would you like?
Yeah, but it's also important to talk about anti-Semitism. I have heard of what they told about what people say about Jeremy Corbyn, and I don't agree with Jeremy Corbyn. But you know, I think this was another conversation. It kind of derailed a bit with anti-Semitism.
A conversation on the logic of conversations.
Yeah, it kind of derailed.
Yeah, that would be good. But when you've got a big, there's a few people here who are very now sensitive about anti-Semitism. Seeing as that's now become the thing here, maybe it's a debate to have. Because I think I've got a fairly controversial view.
About what?
About anti-Semitism.
Oh.
Yeah, which is also about conversations about conversations. I think the word, which is also about conversations about conversations. I think the word Jewish has become unconstructive conversationally. And I haven't heard anybody raise that before.
Okay, we can speak about this a bit. Now there's a bit too much noise.
If you want to do it now, do it now.
There's a bit too much noise.
When they
Maybe this is more interesting. Yeah, I'll hold.
What did Jews say? What did Marx say about Jews? Marx said that the Jews' God is money. Marx said the Jews' God is money. Did he or did he not? Did Marx say that the Jewish people's God is money?
At the time,
their God was money.
see, I can't answer. It's what you accuse me of, and I have to submit to your accusations.
You said Marx was a Jew. You said I'm not an anti-Semite
Again,
because
you do the
Marx
same
is a
thing.
Jew.
You do the same thing. So I thought earlier on there was a problem with me controlling the mic, and now you got control of the mic for 15 minutes. I thought there was a problem.
Answer the question. What did Marx say about?
Here. I'm discussing what's happening.
What did Marx say about the Jewish people?
Having claimed that I am manipulating the discussion, which I arranged, you've now taken it over to push the agenda of anti-Semitism, right? That's what you've done. That's what you've done. And whenever I tried to take the mic, you refused to hand it over. Oh, I see. Now I can say something.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Answer the question.
So, there are many references in English literature, for example, Shakespeare. There are many references within conservative ideas, for example, Winston Churchill, to ideas which associate the Jews with money making. For example, in The Merchant of Venice, right? Do we ban Shakespeare because he made anti-Semitic remarks? Do we?
No, not at all.
Do we?
Can I answer the question?
You can.
No, we don't. But that wasn't the question. The question was Karl Marx, who you just quoted, said that the Jewish people's God is money. No, you brought up Marx and Trotsky as being Jews. And I said, Karl Marx said in his paper, The Jewish Question, he said that the Jewish people's God is money and their religion is usury. And you then said, well, English people used to be anti-Semitic.
What I said was there is a historical background to how many people, intellectuals and so on around the world, authors, intellectuals and so on, all around the world and throughout a long period of history have discussed Jews in relation to finance.
That's not what we're saying. We're not
and
saying
the fact of the matter is, I'll tell you straight, when Adolf Hitler said the Jews are the communists, the Jews are the capitalists, he was right. Many prominent Jews, you see, you don't let me answer. You don't let me finish the sentence. Many of the most prominent, you see, you don't let me answer. Many of the most prominent communists in world history were Jews. Fact. Many of the most prominent intellectuals in world history were Jews. Many of the most prominent capitalists in the world were Jews. Many of prominent politicians were Jews. I believe that is because the Jews operated primarily historically when they developed as a strata within society. They developed because Muslims were not allowed to charge interest on money. Christians were not allowed to charge interest on money. So within the pores of ancient society, both Muslim and Christian dominated, Jews were known as money traders, which was a factual analysis, which of course is where Marx comes in, where Marx's analysis comes in. Marx was Jewish, his father was Jewish, he came from a long line of rabbis. Now, therefore, the argument that Jews are more prominent in society, well, there used to be a joke, you know, in Nazi Germany. Many Jews, they used to say this. It was a joke going around amongst the Jews. Now, I know not many Jewish people who are hot on the anti-Semitism accusation against Corbyn and co. like the idea of any jokes being said. But this is a joke that used to be said. And there was a guy in Germany, and he said, he's a Jewish guy, and his friend comes up to him and he says, what are you doing reading the Völkische Beobachter? The Völkische Beobachter was Joseph Goebbels' newspaper. And his friend, he had the Jewish German Chronicle. And he turns and says, why on earth are you reading that stuff? And he says, well, when I read the Jewish Chronicle, it says Jews are being killed, Jews are being arrested, Jews are being persecuted. It makes me feel really miserable. When I read the Völkische Beobachter, it says Jews control the communists, Jews control the capitalists. It makes me feel really good about myself.
And now that he's done running away from the question, now that he is done running away from the question, I will re-ask the question. The question was, because we're talking about anti-Semitism.
You're talking about that.
Yes, and we're having a conversation about it. You're responding.
You're demanding everyone discuss that.
You said that Marx was a Jew, and I brought you an anti-Semitic quote from Marx, to which you responded. You responded, well, the Jews used to be involved in finance. That wasn't the question. I wasn't asking. I listened to you. Do me the courtesy. I did the courtesy of listening to you. Do the courtesy of listening to me.
Every time I spoke, you spoke as well.
Now be quiet.
But when it happens to you, you're not happy.
Thank you. The question was very simple. I didn't. So if you shut up for 2 seconds, you might hear it. The question wasn't. How was it that Jews came to be in finance? The question was, how can you use Marx as an example of leftists not being anti-Semitic when he said that Jews worshipped money, not Jews were bankers. Jews were. You brought him up. You brought him up.
No, you brought him up.
No, it's on camera. You
brought him
You
up.
said Marx and Trotsky were Jews. You said Marx and Trotsky were Jews. I never mentioned Marx.
Now you see, earlier on you accused Piers of using they. Now you're saying all left-wingers are anti-Semitic. That's what you're now saying.
I said you're festering in
anti-Semites. I'm what? Oh, now it's festering, is it?
Pickling in anti-Semites.
Now it's pickling. Well, actually, when I've attended meetings of campaigns against the witch hunt in the Labour Party, the main speakers at the meeting, like, they're Jews. Alexei Sale, right?
93% of British Jews are afraid of Piers' brother.
Because whether 98%, a hysteria has been whipped up.
All except the Jewish people. He lays wreaths on the graves of terrorists. He calls Hamas and Hezbollah his friends.
I've got to go.
Yeah, another time, yeah?
I'm a friend of Richard Linton.
Well done, well done.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know where you want to go with this. I mean, you want to carry on with accusations.
I want you to explain how saying that the Jews worship money is not anti-Semitic.
I explained what the historical background.
Not the historical background, the statement. How is the statement?
What am I? What am I? Marx's great-great-grandson?
You're a Marxist.
Yes.
You are a Marxist. Defend your leader.
My friend.
Defend your leader.
My friend. My task is not to defend any individual.
Propagating an ideology, defend its leader.
Karl Marx wrote 55 volumes, right?
Of which one?
55 volumes in the collected works. You're claiming there's an anti-Semitic comment. To be honest with you, on the Jewish question, you're saying that's anti-Semitic.
Yes.
The whole document's anti-Semitic.
You're saying that
Right.
the
Well,
Jews
I will, if that's on video, I will go because I haven't read that document. I will go away and read that. I recommend you. You've read it, have you?
Yes, yeah.
You've read it.
Yes, I've read that. It's a very short
You've
document.
read it,
It's
yeah?
much easier than my.
Okay, you're saying you've read it. You're saying I will go and read it, and then I will be happy to discuss on the YouTube discussion about what the content of that is. If I consider it anti-Semitic, I'll say so. If I don't think it's anti-Semitic, I'll tell you that as well. Will you do the same?
I've read it already.
But will you do the same?
In terms of what? You asking me to read it?
Expert on anti-Semitism now, right?
No, but I don't think this man is.
I actually launched something called the
He
Campaign
seems
Against
to think he
Anti-Semitism.
is, so what?
So it's one of the biggest
Does that
So it
mean
gives me
does that
probably
mean you're the
more-
expert on anti-Semitism?
More than you.
Maybe,
Probably more than
but
you.
it doesn't mean that automatically.
No, not at all, but probably more than you.
Maybe.
And so
I'm
Proudhon,
not claiming to be an expert
Bakunin, Engels, you've heard of all of these.
To be an expert on it.
Bakunin,
I'm not
Proudhon,
claiming to be an expert on it.
Engels, all of these names
I
you
am
know.
not claiming to be an expert on anti-Semitism.
You are a Marxist though, and you are a far left.
Right, so that's what I'm an expert on. I'm not an expert on anti-Semitism.
So
I'll leave that to you.
The Jewish community, we're
it.
terrified of you and your type.
Who's we?
Marxists,
Who's we?
leftists,
Who's we?
the far left.
Who's we? Who's we? Who's we?
Who's we? The Jewish community.
Some of the Jewish.
No, the overwhelming majority in every single poll.
Majority.
Okay, that's my point.
It doesn't make
Yes,
we-
the overwhelming majority of Jews in Britain are afraid of far left radicals like yourself.
And do the majority of Jews in Britain vote Conservative?
There we go. There we go. That is all a smear.
Not
No.
a smear, that's a question.
So I was
Do
raised
the majority of Jews in Britain vote Conservative?
with Jeremy Corbyn coming along. Yes, now they do.
No,
Sorry.
before
No,
Jeremy
no, no.
Are you sure?
So I was.
Are you sure
I
about
was.
that?
I can
You're
speak
an
about
expert
myself.
on anti-Semitism.
I voted
Not
Labour.
about yourself. I'm asking you a generic question about the voting patterns of Jews in Britain.
So you tell us. I'm saying.
I believe, I may be wrong, but as far as I remember from what I've read, the overwhelming majority of Jews, or if not the majority, the largest percentage of voting for any party, vote for Conservatives. I may be wrong.
He
Am I
is.
wrong? Okay, I'm wrong, am I?
So
Before Jeremy Corbyn.
before Jeremy.
The majority vote Labour, do they, or what?
So it
Which party
depends.
do they vote for?
At which point in history are you talking?
Before Jeremy Corbyn came along.
So the neighbourhood I.
Before Jeremy Corbyn.
The-
Not the neighbourhood you come from. Jews in Britain. You are generalising.
Okay.
Jews in Britain are afraid
So,
because of Jeremy
and that's
Corbyn.
getting. I just wanted to
Second,
look what he's doing. Look what he's doing. Look what he's doing. Look at the. Look how slippery he is.
What's
Look,
slippery about that?
because we're talking about anti-Semitism, and now you're inferring that the only reason the Jews are against Jeremy Corbyn is because they're Tories.
The Labour Party.
There we go. So the Holocaust denial. No, you're wrong.
Holocaust what's Holocaust denial got to do
Because there are
with
dozens of Labour councillors.
of Labour of Jews vote for Labour
Dozens-
as opposed to the Tories?
Dozens of Labour councillors have been thrown out of your party because of dozens of Labour councillors. Dozens of Labour councillors have been thrown out of their party for Holocaust denial. That's why I mentioned the Holocaust.
My friend. Now, I attended a meeting, Labour Against the Witch Hunt, where many people were present. The majority of the speakers were Jews, like Jackie Walker,
She's
who's.
not Jewish. Her mother is not Jewish. Her
Oh,
father is not
I'm sorry.
Jewish.
I didn't know you were the arbiter of who's Jewish.
No,
I
to
didn't
be
know that.
Jewish, you need a Jewish mother or you need a convert. Anyway, I can identify as being Chinese. It doesn't make me Chinese.
I'm Chinese. I'm half Chinese.
Yeah, but it doesn't make me Chinese.
No. But have you had a DNA test?
Yes. Yes, I have had a DNA test.
So in other words, so Jackie Walker.
Identifies a female with this beard, I'd be
You're
a very
saying Jackie Walker has no claim to being Jewish.
I'm saying she may have Jewish ancestry. It does
think
not
that's
make
what
her
she's
Jewish.
claiming.
No, she's claiming she's Jewish. She's speaking as a Jew. She
I
doesn't
think
go
she-
to synagogue.
okay,
She doesn't belong
okay,
to any community.
okay.
She doesn't have Jewish parents. She's not Jewish.
Oh,
No,
I
she's
see.
just not Jewish.
So what percentage of Jews go to the synagogue?
It depends at what time. in
What
which country.
percentage of Jews in Britain go to the synagogue?
So I believe.
You're the expert.
So I believe the majority go on high holy days, which is Yom Kippur.
So in other words, just like Christians go to church at Christmas time.
Yeah, but Jackie Walker
Does that
doesn't.
make you?
But Jackie Walker doesn't.
So she's not Jewish because she doesn't
No,
go to
she's not
church
Jewish
once a
because
year.
She doesn't have Jewish parents. She doesn't go to synagogue.
I see.
She doesn't belong to
I
a
see, I
community.
see.
She just says that she's Jewish.
So what percentage of Jews would also fit
by
in
the
that
way,
category?
your friend Jackie
Who
Walker
self-identify
is
as
the same one who
Jews?
said that the Jews are responsible for an African Holocaust.
Well,
Lovely company you keep, Accuses.
I don't.
Lovely
I.
company.
She didn't actually say that. What she
She
said
did. I was
was,
the one that
when
reported
she
it.
looked back, okay,
My
so you're a
organisation
big
broke it.
secret recorder of things. I know you said to him earlier on that you're secretly recording the discussion earlier
all
on,
that-
right? You got a bug on you somewhere on your body. Is it recording or? No, it wasn't recorded there. It wasn't
Listen to
recorded
the
there.
lunacy of the left.
I'm asking because I heard you discussing like that,
I
right?
said I'm sure we've picked up something interesting on Leon's camera.
Oh well, all right. Okay.
Not
Okay,
that I
my
have a
mistake.
book on
Okay.
me.
Okay. So what Jackie Walker said was that when she researched her family background, she discovered she had a split background. She's half black from the Caribbean, from slave families, and half Jewish. But you're saying she's not Jewish,
No,
right?
I'm saying
So therefore,
when it was convenient to attack and defend Jeremy Corbyn and attack the Jewish community, she adopted a Jewish
she didn't
identity.
attack the Jewish community.
When
What she
you say
said
that the Jews
was,
are responsible
when
for an
she
African
investigated,
Holocaust.
you're not listening. When she investigated the background to her family, for a family tree, if you like, she discovered that in her family, the Jewish side had slave traders within them. That's what she said.
She didn't. I can
And then
quote
she
what said if you
discussed,
want.
and then she's discussed the fact that people transported from Africa to the Caribbean and to Brazil, she compared that to a Holocaust. Personally, I don't have any problem with that. You've
not what
got a
she
problem
said,
with that
because that's not what she said.
because you think, and that's what this is another issue that she mentioned. You think that the Jewish Holocaust is the only Holocaust of significance.
No, I don't.
And all other
What the
Holocausts,
hell are you talking
and
about,
all
you
other
desperate-
Holocausts. Well,
What
I'm
the
asked.
hell are
Okay,
you talking
okay.
about?
I think that's what.
campaign against all genocide. Whether it's in
Okay,
Rwanda,
okay,
whether
okay,
it's
okay, okay. But why is she wrong then to use the black Holocaust then? Why is she wrong to use the slavery Holocaust? That seems to be the issue.
The issue is that when you blame the Jewish people who had...
said her
No, she
family.
didn't. I'll read the
Her
quote for you, you clown.
family.
Right, I'm going to read out the quote.
Published by whom?
Published by her on her Facebook. On her Facebook.
I'm sorry. But no. I'm going to tell you what I think of this. I think that's exactly what's going on here. There is quibbling because of the modern age. There is quibbling about every sentence anyone says, and people have been expelled from the Labour Party. I admit there are anti-Semites in the Labour Party. Why are there anti-Semites in the Labour Party? Because I also admit there are murderers in the Labour Party. There are paedophiles in the Labour Party. Because when you have 500,000 members of a party, you have a cross-section of society which contains prejudices, perversions, criminality, similar to other proportions of society. The proportion of people in the Labour Party who are anti-Semitic, however, is far lower than in the Conservative Party because it's been studied. That's why it's been studied.
By who? By who?
Do some research on that.
You're saying by
Do
who?
some
I actually
research
can-
on
I
that.
can name
In
you-
opinion polls.
Which opinion
Do
polls?
some research.
Which
Do
opinion? Jewish
it's
policy
not,
research?
my friend.
Who are you talking
I am not
about,
an
Paul?
encyclopedia.
Who are you talking about?
But what you
Well,
can
you're
do.
bringing up facts that
Why are you
don't
screaming
exist.
at me? Why are you screaming
Because
at me?
you're dominating the mic and it's the only
Dominating the
way I
mic.
can
No, not at all. The argument was made.
Discuss it with him next week, this manifesto, which he's talking about.
Sorry?
This particular Marxist document. Will you discuss it with him next week?
Right now.
No.
No
I
one
have.
needs to be biased, so
I can't discuss something I haven't read. I haven't read The Jewish Question by Marx. I said I'm happy to read it, and online I will then raise the issues online, and I will accept or reject the idea. In my opinion, not his opinion. I mean, he thinks no one is Jewish other than those he anoints as Jewish. That's what he thinks.
Okay, perfect. There we go. The Jews have a definition. So now the clown is saying the Jews cannot even define themselves. The Jews cannot even define themselves.
So if you go once a year to the synagogue, you're Jewish.
No, That's not what
you said.
No, I
You
didn't.
said Jackie
I said
Walker
if you
doesn't
have a
have
Jewish mother or a converted.
So if you've got a Jewish mother and you didn't go to the synagogue, are you still Jewish? If you've got a Jewish mother and you don't believe in the faith, are you Jewish?
Yes.
You don't believe in it?
Yes. That's the Jewish definition. See, you're learning. When you stop talking, you learn.
I accept. If that's your argument, I accept that's new to me. But I don't know whether that's accepted by everybody in the Jewish community. Is it accepted by everybody in the Jewish community?
Yes, it's the historical definition that's given by the Talmud and the Torah of who is a Jew. I didn't make this up.
But surely, I mean, I saw a program on Vice TV the other day about a.
Sorry, I default the Vice.
So I can't watch any. I can't refer to any reference. I can't refer to any reference. It's not silly because I will post the link to this video. And I challenge you. There's a group of Jews in Stamford Hill. I don't remember the exact name. I'm sure you can tell me.
Neturei Carter.
That's right. The Neturei Carter. That's right. Now, I saw a video about them, and I was quite impressed by the video because there they were discussing their beliefs, and they believe that the Torah instructs that Israel is against the Jewish people, and he says, he refers to the Ten Commandments, and the woman asks him, he says, but what does Israel do against the Ten Commandments? And he said, 1 minute, don't panic. What's silly? You're saying they're not Jewish then? No. Hang on. The Ten Commandments, he said, thou shalt not kill. Now, does Israel kill people? Does Israel kill people? Then he said, thou shalt not steal. Was Israel not founded by stealing the land of the Palestinians?
Thank you. Okay, now we can have this conversation, but do you see what just happened? Can we say we're talking about who? No, listen, and you'll learn something. We're talking about who is or isn't Jewish, and what does he do? He goes to Israel. He runs away from the definition. He runs.
Orthodox Jews.
Their definition of who is and
Orthodox means this is Jewish. You said that. So I went to the next phase of your argument. You were intervening when I was speaking. Look on the video. When it comes out, look on the video. This gentleman here said, I want to hear him. Remember? So it's for you, it's one rule. For me, it's another.
No, but 2 seconds. We're talking about who isn't Jewish. Neturei Carter from Stamford Hill have the same definition as me. They are Jewish. You're coming up with this now. You brought up a.
No, they don't have the same definition.
They do. They base their definition on the Talmud. It's got nothing to do with Israel.
They say you're not really Jewish if you support Israel.
No, they
do. They do.
I go to their synagogue.
According to the Torah, if thou shalt not kill is broken. You're not working according to the Torah. If thou shalt not steal is broken. Or are you? Can you be Jewish? Instead of building strong,
and I'll give you an example of why. Neturei Carter are about 8 families in Stamford Hill. I went to yeshiva, which is a religious school, with one of them. We learned together. I know them all. We consider each other Jewish. They consider me heretical, and I consider them heretical. But we still consider each other. We still listen.
What does the word heretical
Listen,
mean?
just if you listen for 2 seconds, if you listen for 2, if you listen.
Non-believer.
If you listen, what's happening, and what is happening here is he is trying to dictate what a Jew is or isn't. I've given the definition which you willfully ignore, and you remain in ignorance. I've explicitly listen. I thought you could debate.
I asked you, if you're a believer, do you believe that you can still be acclaimed to be a representative of the Jewish faith if you break the Ten Commandments?
Yes.
Okay, that's your heresy. I'm pretty certain. What you've said is against the religion.
Okay.
I'll check. You post your material.
So
for
the camera, what we have here is a communist trying to tell the Jews. Okay.
Well, the Christians are going to rule as well. The Ten Commandments. It's not just Jewish, right? Can you be Jewish and break the Ten Commandments?
Yes.
Thank you. So all the Jews are telling you you're wrong, and you're still wallowing in ignorance.
Well, I don't see what Jewish is then. You're saying Jewish means turning up there.
I've told you what Jewish is.
But you can kill people. You can break the Ten
If you-
Commandments. You can break all the rules of the
Because
Torah,
like
as long
all
as you turn up.
leftist
That's
scum,
the Catholic Church
like all leftist
before the
scumbags,
Reformation.
like all leftist scumbags,
I'm a scumbag.
you're dictating to the Jewish people.
Did I abuse you?
Yes.
When did I abuse you? When did I abuse you? Remember the video's recording. When did I abuse you?
You didn't.
Right.
You didn't.
But you abused me.
Okay, I apologise about that. I got carried away. I apologise about that. I did. I just did. There we go. So my point is very, very simple. As Jews, we get very, very tired of non-Jews coming and telling us who isn't Jewish. We get very tired of non-Jews telling us what isn't anti-Semitism.
They can have an opinion.
They can have an opinion, but what we don't like is when we say this has been the definition of what a Jew is for 3,500 years, and somebody says, but I watched a documentary on Vice which says the opposite. It's a little offensive. And that's fine, that's Speaker's Corner.
That isn't what I said.
I just have.
That isn't what I said.
Okay.
Can I debate him? Yeah, please.
Okay, that's me.
Okay, read the Jewish question and we'll debate that.
Iron Man.
Good luck. Thank you.
Tony Stark, Iron
It's a
Man.
great book.
I'm not anti-Semitic, okay? But what I'm going to
Anybody that opens with that scares me.
but
I don't hate black people,
but what
I
I'm
don't-
gonna say may have the surface appearance of sounding.
From your man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. Listen.
Please define what Jewish is. I heard you say, and I was going to come in on it. Sorry. You said you're Jewish if your mother is Jewish, or by faith, or by conversion. Okay, now this is your definition. Yeah? Fine. Okay, it is what I apparently should take on board as being the official definition. Okay, that's historical definition. Now I put it to you in the nicest possible terms. That definition is detrimental to constructive discussion.